What would you do if you discovered that the person you trusted most had access to $120,000 in cash and diamonds? And your hidden camera was about to reveal whether 6 years of loyalty was real or just an act. She walked into the room alone. Stacks of money, diamonds, no witnesses. What happened next left her wealthy boss stunned. If you love interesting stories like this that expose the truth, please give this video a thumbs up and tell us in the comments section where in the world you are watching this video, and also do well to smash that subscribe button. The safe door hung wide open. Bundles of cash worth $10,000 each sat untouched. A diamond-studded Rolex sparkled in the morning sunlight. The office was silent, too silent. Marcus Williams hadn't told anyone. Only he knew what he'd done that morning at 6:45 a.m. in his Atlanta mansion. He'd left his most private room wide open. His most expensive things exposed. It wasn't an accident. It was a trap. Keisha Washington, the woman who had worked in his home for 6 years. The woman who never touched anything she didn't need to. Who never gossiped, never asked for money early, and never showed up late. Not even when storms shut down half the city. But trust? Marcus had learned it could break like glass. He sat in the guest room with black coffee, watching the hallway camera on his laptop. He turned off the sound. He just wanted to see. At 7:13 a.m., she appeared. Keisha walked into view wearing her usual light blue uniform. She carried a small basket of cleaning supplies. She wasn't rushing. She was just doing her job. For months, people had been planting doubts in his mind. "You trust her around all that money?" his business partner Clayton had asked. "She's polite, sure, but don't let that fool you," Jessica had said. The whispers built a wall of suspicion, not loud enough to fire her, but loud enough to make him watch. Keisha walked up to the office door. It was cracked open just enough for her to see inside. She paused for just a second, then stepped in. Marcus leaned forward, eyes glued to the screen. She stayed inside longer than expected, maybe 4 minutes. Then she came out, calm and collected. No rush in her step, nothing in her hands. What had just happened? Keisha had come into his life in 2018 through his old driver's recommendation. "She's good people," the man had said. "Quiet, honest, works hard." By year 2, Marcus trusted her with house keys, security codes, even alarm systems when he traveled. But around year 4, the voices started creeping in. "You leave cash around? People do desperate things sometimes." Marcus never liked how that sounded, but he didn't fight back. Instead, he started locking drawers more carefully, started keeping the office door closed. But Keisha remained the same. Always early, always polite. Deep down, he knew this wasn't about her. It was about him, about what he'd let other people's doubts do to his thinking. But it was too late now. The camera was rolling. Marcus rewound the footage. At 7:13 a.m., Keisha had stepped into the office. He knew what was visible from the door. The open safe, the diamond watch, gold coins, almost $120,000 total. She emerged at 7:17 a.m. Her face was neutral, not nervous, not guilty, just normal. She closed the office door and kept moving. One question pulled at him. What exactly had she done in that room? Downstairs, Keisha was cleaning when something felt off. She walked back to the office. The door was closed, just like she'd left it. She stepped inside. The safe was still wide open. Cash still there. Watch still there. She stared at it for a moment, not in shock, but with tired awareness. Then she walked to the desk, pulled out a sticky note, and wrote 4 short lines. "Forgot to close this. Took nothing. Locked it. K." She gently closed the safe, turned the dial, and left the note on top. No drama. No second thoughts. She just carried on. Marcus stared at the safe. The sticky note sat perfectly centered. 4 lines. No panic. No dramatic words. Just a simple message. Forgot to close this. Took nothing. Locked it. He slowly entered the code and opened the safe. Everything was exactly where he'd left it. He let out a long breath. And then he felt it. Not relief, shame. It crept in quietly but fully. He'd set a trap, a silent accusation. And she responded not with anger, but with respect and care. She hadn't even told him about it. Marcus opened the camera footage again. He watched her enter the office. She looked down at the open safe, then back toward the door. She stood still for 5 seconds, not calculating about stealing, but about what to do next. It wasn't a performance. It was principle. His mind wandered to 3 years ago when he came back from the hospital after surgery. He was foggy from medication, hungry and frustrated. Jessica hadn't visited. None of his friends had texted. But Keisha, she left a casserole in the fridge with a note. Heat for 25 minutes. Don't eat it cold. You'll hate it. He never said thank you. Until now. Downstairs, Keisha was wiping the counter when she heard footsteps. Marcus appeared in the kitchen, laptop under his arm. "Morning, Mr. Williams," she said. He stood there too long before speaking. "Keisha, I saw the note." She nodded. "Just wanted to make sure it was locked. Thought maybe you forgot." "I didn't forget," he said, voice low. "I left it open on purpose." Silence hung between them. "I figured," she finally said. "I was testing you," he admitted. "I know," she said gently. "But I'm not the one who needed the test." That hit like ice water. Marcus's face flushed from the weight of being called out without an ounce of disrespect. "You ever taken anything from me?" he asked. She turned to face him fully. "No. Not $1, not a fork, not even a stick of gum." "I believe you." Marcus sat down slowly. "I didn't used to be this kind of man. I used to trust people. But somewhere along the way, the money got louder than my gut. I've had people steal," he continued. "An assistant took my credit card. A cousin used my name for a loan." "That's tough," Keisha said. "It is. But it still wasn't your fault." "No," she replied. "But it made me look guilty by default." Somewhere inside, he'd let bias take the wheel. Suspicion passed down, whispered in closed rooms, disguised as advice. "I owe you an apology," he said finally. "I'm sorry. I should never have doubted you." She gave a small nod. "Appreciate you saying that. Why didn't you just quit?" he asked softly. "Because I didn't take the job for your approval. I took it because it paid fair. And I don't walk away just because folks disappoint me. If I did that, I'd never keep a job." Her tone wasn't bitter, just honest. He saw her differently now. Not as the help, but as someone who had carried heavier loads than he ever had. "Would it be weird if I gave you a raise?" he asked with a half-smile. She chuckled. "Not weird, just late." They both laughed. For the first time that morning, Marcus felt like a man again. The next morning, there was a note on the front door. "Come to the patio. Coffee's ready. M." Marcus sat at the outdoor table in a navy robe. 2 mugs of coffee steamed between them. Next to her cup was an envelope with her name on it. "Keisha, I disrespected you," he said. "I tested you. I let people who don't even know you plant seeds in my head. I trusted whispers over 6 years of proof. That's not just wrong. It's weak." "You said it." "I didn't," she replied. "I didn't expect the note," he admitted. "You handled it with grace. Quiet dignity." "It did rattle me," Keisha said. "But I've been rattled before. That doesn't mean I break." He slid the envelope toward her. Inside was a check, a year's salary paid up front. "No strings," he said. "This is for staying, even when I made you feel small." "You ever think about quitting?" he asked. "Twice. Once when Jessica told me I should smile more. And once when I caught one of your friends looking through my purse. You never told me that. Didn't want to make it messy. Why'd you stay? Keisha looked at him. Because I knew who I was. I was just waiting to see if you'd figure out who you were. 2 weeks later, the cameras were gone. All of them. Marcus had the whole system removed. Something had shifted. Marcus changed in the quiet ways that actually matter. He started greeting her properly. He stopped making casual comments about having someone keep the house in order. Keisha Washington runs this place better than I do, he told a friend. If she ever leaves me, I'll have to sell the whole house. A few months later, Marcus asked if she'd help him create a scholarship fund in her name. I'm just doing my job, she said. I know. And that's exactly why it should have your name on it. The Washington Foundation was launched to support single mothers returning to work. When Marcus gave his speech, he said, "Some people show you who they are in loud, flashy ways. Others do it quietly, day after day, until you realize they're the kind of person you should have noticed all along." Sometimes the greatest lessons come from people who just show up. The ones who don't need attention to be great. Marcus had to learn that the hard way. And Keisha? She just kept showing up. Not for praise, not for a paycheck, but because doing right never needed an audience. Watch the quiet ones. They might be carrying more honor than the ones at the head of the table.